Welcome to this story. This is a story to help you learn English. It is also a story to inspire your heart. Listen carefully. Read slowly. Feel the meaning of every word. Long ago, in a land far across the ocean, there was a small village in France. The houses were old. The people were poor. But in that village, there was a boy named Emile. Emile was not strong. He was not rich. But he had something very special. He had dreams. Every night, Emile would look up at the stars. He would sit on the roof and whisper, "One day I will give something great to the world. Something that brings people together." His father would laugh and say, "Dreams are for kings, not for boys with empty hands." But Emile never stopped dreaming. Years passed. Emile became a man. He studied art. He loved to create things. He became a sculptor. He made beautiful things from stone and metal. But deep inside, he still carried his old dream. He wanted to build something big, something meaningful, something that would live forever. One day, Emile heard about a land across the sea. A new land. A land of freedom. A place where people from all countries could live and work together. That land was called America. Emile was moved. He thought, if this land is about freedom, if this land is about hope, then I must give them a gift. A gift from the heart of France. And so, the idea was born. He wanted to build a woman, not just any woman. A woman with fire in her hand. A woman with strength in her eyes. A woman who stood tall, even in the storm. She would be called Liberty. Liberty, holding a torch for the world to see. Liberty, with chains broken at her feet. Liberty, showing that hope cannot be locked. Not by kings. Not by war. Not by fear. But Emile was just a sculptor. He had no money. People laughed at him again. "Who do you think you are?" they said. "You are one man. You cannot build something that big." But Emile believed. He spoke to rich men. He spoke to artists. He spoke to workers and farmers. He told them his dream. He showed them drawings. He told them, "This gift is not just from me. This is from all of us. This is our message to the world." And slowly, slowly, they listened. They gave coins. They gave time. They gave effort. People across France helped build liberty. Mothers gave their savings. Children gave their pennies. Even poor people helped. Piece by piece, liberty began to rise. Her hand was built first, the torch that would hold the flame. Then her arm. Then her face. It took many years. It took hard work. Sometimes people gave up. Sometimes Emile cried. But he never stopped. Finally, she was ready. Beautiful. She was made from copper and steel. But her heart was made of courage. But now came the hardest part. They had to send her across the sea. From France to America. She was too big to go all at once. So they took her apart, like a puzzle. 350 pieces. Packed in boxes, sent on a big ship. But when she arrived in America, something went wrong. People in America did not want to build the base. They said, "We don't have money. We don't need this statue. Why should we help a gift from France?" Emile was heartbroken. Liberty was sitting in boxes. Alone. Unwanted. Waiting for someone to believe. But someone did believe. A man named Joseph Pulitzer. He was not rich. But he owned a newspaper. He said, "This is not just a statue. This is a symbol. This is for the people." And so he asked for help. He wrote in his paper, "If every person gives just 1 penny, we can build the base." And people did. Old people. Young people. Rich people. Poor people. Immigrants. Farmers. Teachers. They gave pennies. They gave hope. Even school children gave their lunch money. Because they believed. Because liberty was not just a statue. She was a promise. A promise of freedom. A promise of a new life. A promise that all people are equal. And then, it happened. The base was built. The pieces were lifted. One by one. It took 4 long months to put her together. But when it was finished, she stood tall. Very tall. She stood on an island in New York. She held the torch high. She looked out at the ocean, at the ships, at the people arriving. And when immigrants came by boat, when they saw her, They cried. They whispered, "We are home." They saw not a statue, but a dream made real. Emil had done it. He was just one man, but he had changed the world. Liberty was no longer made of copper. She was made of love. She was made of courage. She was made of the belief that no one is too small to make a difference. So when you feel small, when you feel like your voice doesn't matter, remember Liberty. Remember Emil. One man, one dream, one world, changed forever. People from all around the world began to visit Liberty. They came by ship. They came by train. Some walked long distances just to see her. They looked up at her face. They looked up at her torch. And they felt something deep inside. They felt brave. They felt strong. They felt welcome. A young boy from Ireland held his mother's hand. He looked at Liberty and said, "Mama, is this where we start a new life?" His mother smiled, tears in her eyes. "Yes," she said. "This is where we begin again." Liberty did not speak. But she did not have to. Her silence was full of meaning. She said with her eyes, "You are free now. You are safe here. You can build your future." She stood tall through wind. She stood tall through rain. She stood tall even when the world was afraid. One day, a man from Italy stepped off the boat. He had only a small bag. He had no money. He could not speak English. But he looked at Liberty and whispered, "Thank you." He worked hard. He cleaned streets. He washed clothes. He learned English, word by word. And one day, he opened a small shop. He never forgot Liberty. He told his children, "She gave us hope when we had nothing." Liberty became more than a statue. She became a friend, a guide, a light. But time passed. The world began to change. There were wars. There were fears. Some people said, "Maybe we need to close the door now. Maybe too many people are coming. Maybe we can't help everyone." Liberty heard them. But she did not move. She stood still. She stood proud. She remembered Emil's dream. She remembered the pennies from the children. She remembered the boats full of people who came with empty hands and full hearts. She remembered why she was built. One cold night, a little girl stood on a boat. Her name was Anya. She came from a far country. Her father had died in the war. Her mother held her close. They had nothing left. No home. No family. No food. But they had hope. And when Anya saw Liberty, she smiled for the first time in many days. She whispered, "Is she real?" Her mother said, "Yes, she is real. She is here for you." They arrived in America. They were tired. They were afraid. But Liberty had done her job again. She gave them courage. Anya grew up strong. She went to school. She learned English. She became a teacher. And every year, she took her students to see Liberty. She told them, "She is more than metal. She is a story. She is a symbol. She is you. She is me." Years turned into decades. The world grew busier. Cities grew taller. Machines grew louder. But Liberty still stood. In the morning light. In the night fog. Through thunder. Through silence. Some people stopped noticing her. They passed by in cars. They looked down at their phones. They forgot to look up. But not everyone forgot. An old man named Samuel came every week. He would sit on a bench and look at her. He would bring a notebook. He would write poems. One day, a young boy sat beside him. The boy asked, "Why do you come here, Grandpa?" Samuel smiled. He said, "Because she reminds me of who I am." The boy looked confused. "You're not a statue," he said. "No," Samuel laughed. "But I came here long ago. I was just a boy. Just like you." He pointed to Liberty. "She gave me strength when I had none. And now, I come to remember." The boy looked up. He stared at Liberty for a long time. He said softly, "She looks kind." Samuel nodded. "Yes," he said. "She is kind. She does not push people away. She does not care if you are rich or poor, young or old, white or brown. She welcomes everyone. And that is why Liberty still matters. Not because she is tall. Not because she is famous. But because she stands for something big. Something deep. Something true. She stands for the idea that all people matter, that dreams are worth chasing, that freedom is for everyone, and that even when the world is dark, there is still a light, a torch, held high, for all to see. Liberty was once just a dream. Then she became a plan. Then a statue. Then a symbol. And now, she is a story. A story that lives in every person who believes in hope, in kindness, in starting over. So if you ever feel lost, if you ever feel small, go and see Liberty. Or close your eyes and picture her. Feel the wind around her. See the light of her torch. And remember, she is not just made of copper. She is made of the dreams of millions, including yours. Many years later, Liberty still stood strong. Her color had changed. She was once shiny and copper red. Now, she was green from time and weather. But people still came. Children, parents, teachers, travelers. All stood in her shadow. A little boy from Africa stood holding his father's hand. His name was Malik. He had never seen anything so big. He looked up and whispered, "Papa, she's smiling." His father laughed softly. "She smiles with her eyes, my son. She is happy you are here." Malik didn't understand everything. He didn't know the long history. But he felt something. Something warm. Something strong. Liberty gave that feeling to many people. To rich and poor. To young and old. To people who had dreams. To people who were running from danger. She did not ask questions. She did not check names. She did not close her doors. She simply stood, tall, open, waiting. One woman came from Syria. She was alone. Her family had died in the war. She had walked for days. She had cried for weeks. She had lost everything. But then she saw Liberty. Her name was Amina. She touched her heart. She looked at the torch. She whispered, "I will live again." Amina started cleaning houses. She learned English every night. She wrote letters to other women like her. She told them, "You can begin again." She told them about Liberty. She told them, she is not just a statue. She is a promise. She is a reason to hope. Amina later became a nurse. She helped others find strength just like Liberty helped her. One cold winter day, a snowstorm came. The wind was fast. The snow was thick. The sea around Liberty was rough. Waves hit the island. Ice covered the ground. But Liberty did not fall. She stood in the snow. Her torch still high. Her face still calm. Tourists could not visit that day. But one worker, named Eli, stayed. He worked at Liberty Island. He helped clean and protect the place. He walked around the statue slowly, brushing off the snow. He whispered, "I know you're just a statue, but you help people. You helped me." Years ago, Eli had no home. He had lost his job. He had no food. No one helped him. Then one day, he saw Liberty from far away. She looked so strong. So peaceful. He took a small boat to the island and sat near her for hours. He didn't say anything. He just looked at her. And something happened. He felt calm. He felt brave again. He stood up and said, "I will not give up." From that day, his life changed. He found a small job. Then another. He learned new skills. He got his own apartment. And finally, he got a job working near Liberty. Now, every morning he says, "Good morning, Lady Liberty. Thank you." He is not the only one. Every day, people say thank you to her. Not with words, but with actions. They work hard. They help others. They welcome strangers. They show kindness. Liberty's story lives inside them. But not everyone understands her. Some say she is old. Some say she is just metal. Some say she does not matter anymore. They forget what she means. They forget why she was made. One teenager named Sophia was like that. She lived in New York. She passed by Liberty many times. But she never really looked at her. One day, her school took a trip to Liberty Island. Sophia didn't care. They thought, "It's just a statue." But then, a guide told the class a story. The guide said, "More than 100 years ago, people gave their pennies to build this statue. They were poor. But they believed in something big, freedom." Sophia listened. She was quiet. She walked up the stairs inside Liberty. She looked out from the crown. She saw the sea. She saw the sky. She saw the city. She imagined the boats. She imagined the families. She imagined the fear and the hope. Something changed in her heart. She said to her teacher, "She's not just a statue. She's a story." From that day, Sophia studied harder. She began to help in her community. She helped other students learn English. She gave food to people without homes. She told them about liberty. "You may feel small," she said, "but liberty tells us you matter." Every person who sees liberty sees something different. A child sees a light. A mother sees safety. A father sees a future. A worker sees pride. And they are all right, because liberty is for all of them. She belongs to everyone, not just to Americans, not just to one group, but to the world. Because her light is not just fire. It is love. It is peace. It is hope. So if you ever feel alone, if you ever feel like giving up, think of liberty. She stands in silence, but her message is loud. You are welcome. You are strong. You belong. She is not just in New York. She is in your heart. She is in every kind act, every new beginning, every dream that lives on. The years continued to pass. New people came. New voices, new faces, new stories. But liberty stayed the same. She did not move. She did not change. She did not turn her back. One morning, the sky was very quiet. There were no clouds, no noise, just soft air and slow waves. An old woman named Rosa came alone. She walked slowly with a cane. Her hands were weak, but her eyes were full of light. She sat on a bench near the statue. She looked up, and she smiled. "I came here 70 years ago," Rosa whispered. "I was just a girl. We had nothing, not even shoes." She closed her eyes. "I was afraid. I didn't know the language. I didn't know the rules. But when I saw you, Lady Liberty, I knew I had a chance." Rosa had lived a full life. She had worked in a bakery. She had married. She had raised 4 children. Now she was old. But she wanted to say thank you. Not to a person. Not to a place. But to the feeling. To the dream. To liberty. A park guard saw her sitting there. He walked over and asked, "Ma'am, are you okay?" She opened her eyes and said, "I'm more than okay. I'm home." Then she opened her bag. Inside was an old photo. It showed a little girl standing with her parents. Behind them, the Statue of Liberty. "That's me," she said softly. "I was so scared, but I made it." The guard smiled. Rosa stood slowly. She placed the photo on the bench. Then she said, "Let someone else find it. Let them know they're not alone." She walked away slowly. But her story stayed. The next morning, a group of students found the photo. They passed it around. They read Rosa's message on the back. "If you are scared, that is okay. If you are tired, that is okay. If you feel lost, that is okay. Liberty is here for you." She was here for me too. The students were quiet. One girl had tears in her eyes. Another boy took a picture of the photo. They all looked up at Liberty and waved. Rosa's story had touched them. And now, it was part of Liberty's story. One day, a man came from South Korea. His name was Jean. He was an artist. He had painted many things: flowers, animals, people. But he had never painted something so big, so powerful. He stood at the edge of the island and began to draw. First, he drew her eyes, then her hand, then the torch. It took many hours. The sun was hot. The wind was strong. But Jean did not stop. He said, "I want the world to see what she means. Not just how she looks, but how she feels." When his painting was finished, he took a step back. He smiled. Then he cried. "I came to visit," he said, "but I found a part of myself here." He gave the painting to the museum on Liberty Island. They hung it on the wall with a small sign. The sign said, "This is not just a painting. This is how hope looks. This is how freedom feels." Many people stopped to look. Some said nothing. Some wiped tears. Some took deep breaths. And that's what liberty does. She speaks without words. She heals without hands. She touches without moving. In the city nearby, life moved fast. Cars. Lights. People running, people shouting. Everyone in a hurry. But on the island, everything was slower. The air was different. The sound was different. Time felt like it had stopped. And in that silence, Liberty spoke. She spoke to a boy with no father. She said, "You are still strong." She spoke to a woman leaving her home country. She said, "You can begin again." She spoke to a man looking for work. She said, "Don't give up." She spoke to a child with big dreams. She said, "Dream even bigger." No one hears her with their ears, but everyone hears her with their heart. One evening, just before sunset, a group of refugees arrived in New York. They came by plane. Not by boat like in the old days. But one woman still asked, "Can we see the statue? The one with the light?" A volunteer smiled and said, "Yes. You will see her soon." They took a boat to the island. And there she was, Liberty, standing with her torch high, watching the sun fall into the sea. The refugees stood in silence. Then one of them, a young man named Amir, said, "I thought I lost everything. But now I see. I didn't lose hope." He turned to the others and said, "This is not just a statue. This is a door. A door to a new life." They all nodded. They understood. They took pictures. They wrote notes. They promised to learn, to work, to help others. Liberty had done her job again. She had welcomed the tired. She had lifted the broken. She had lit the path forward. And still she stood. In the cold. In the heat. In the silence. She stood not just for America, but for every human heart that longs to be free. Night fell over the city. The sky turned dark. But Liberty still shined. Her torch glowed like a star that never moved, a star that never died. In a small boat, a father and son sat together. They looked up at Liberty. The water was calm. The air was cool. The boy asked, "Papa, why does she never sleep?" His father smiled. "Because freedom must stay awake. Because someone, somewhere, is always looking for hope." The boy nodded. He didn't understand it all. But he knew the statue made him feel safe, made him feel proud. People from all over the world had stories like this. A woman in Brazil had never seen Liberty, but she kept a picture of her near her bed. She looked at it every morning. She said, "One day I will go there. One day I will see her with my own eyes." Liberty gave people courage. Even far away. Even just in dreams. One teacher in India taught her students about Liberty. She said, "She may be far, but her message is close. She tells us that we all matter, that we all deserve peace." The students drew pictures of Liberty. Some colored her gold. Some colored her pink. Some gave her wings. They didn't care about the details. They cared about the meaning. One child wrote on her drawing, "She is not made of metal. She is made of hope." That hope kept growing, even in hard times. Even when the world forgot to look up. One day, a big storm came. Winds blew hard. Rain poured for hours. Lightning flashed across the sky. Boats stopped. The city went quiet. Everyone stayed inside. But Liberty did not move. She did not shake. She did not fall. When the sun returned, she was still there. Still watching. Still holding her light. A little girl saw her from a window. She said, "Look, Mama. She's still there." Her mother smiled. "Yes. She always will be." That's the truth about Liberty. She does not give up. She does not take sides. She does not forget. She remembers every hand that helped build her. She remembers every eye that looked up to her. She remembers every heart that needed her. One day, a young filmmaker named Diego visited Liberty. He came from Mexico. He carried a small camera. He wanted to make a movie, not about action, not about heroes with capes, but about real hope. He filmed Liberty from every angle. From the water, from the ground, from a helicopter. Then he filmed the people. Old people, young people, tourists, workers, children. He asked them one question. "What does liberty mean to you?" And they answered with tears, with smiles, with silence. One woman said, "She is my second chance." One man said, "She is the mother of dreams." One child said, "She is my light." When Diego finished the film, he shared it online. Millions of people watched it. They cried. They laughed. They remembered. They remembered that liberty was more than a statue. She was a voice for the voiceless. She was a hand for the helpless. She was a light in the dark. And that light must never go out. One evening, a girl named Hannah stood in her classroom. She had just learned about liberty. Her teacher asked, "Who can tell me what she means?" Hannah raised her hand. She said, "She means we can begin again." Everyone clapped. And Hannah smiled.
In a small town in Germany, an old man told his grandson, "I saw her once long ago. I was a soldier then. I was lost. But when I saw her, I knew peace was possible." He placed his hand on his heart. "Even now, when I close my eyes, I still see her light." And the boy said, "One day, I want to see her too." You see, liberty is not just in New York. She is not just a statue. She lives in every heart that chooses kindness, every voice that stands up for truth, every dream that refuses to die. And when the world is hurting, when people are tired, when hope feels small, liberty reminds us, we are not alone. We are not forgotten. We are free to try again. She has watched over the world for many years, and she will keep watching, as long as we remember her light. So if you ever feel afraid, if you ever feel like no one sees you, close your eyes, picture liberty, see her torch, see her eyes, and remember her silent promise. You are welcome here. You are strong. You can rise. Thank you for watching this video. Remember, like liberty, your light can shine too. Never stop dreaming, never stop hoping, and never stop believing in yourself.